Good morning, St. Mary's. This is Tom Lee, Director of Religious Education. So I am actually, when I sit up, the light like turns my hair into a mohawk. So I'm just gonna put my hat on just so I'm not distracted. Anyways, so we made it back from the mission trip last week. It was a huge success. Honestly, if I had to like rate the last 27, 28 years of my life, that was probably one of the best experiences. And the peak of that was at 5 in the morning. I would wake up to go do my holy hour, because if I don't have prayer at the end of the day, I noticed at one point I didn't have prayer, and with one of the kids I had to offer a correction, okay, because like whenever I would tell somebody to do something, it would need to be done, right? Not because I wanted to, but like we're working in some dangerous environments, so if someone just isn't responding, no, let me do something else, like let me finish my thing, it's like bam, like that can't happen, right? So pulled them aside, and the correction was appropriate, but I noticed the day that I didn't pray was a little bit more frustrated than I normally am. So it was actually interesting. The Lord didn't allow me to pray that morning, I think, so that he could show me the difference, because I don't know any different. I mean, usually most days, 99% of the time, I start off with a holy hour. And so when I don't have that, it was very interesting to recognize that there is a big difference. So anyways, there's five of them, got up on Thursday morning for a holy hour with me. So they woke up and they came to the holy hour at like 5 a.m. I was absolutely blown out of the water. But that was one of the most like amazing, rewarding experiences that I've ever had. Just like watching these kids grow in the faith and just like start to experience it for themselves. It's not just crazy Tom, the DRE, just talking about who knows what. It was like I could see it. And it was crazy because I wake them up at like 5 o'clock and these people were exhausted. Like I could see in their eyes, they thought I was like the Grim Reaper, just like coming to take their lives. Like that's how tired they were. You could just see it. And I woke them up and they didn't have to come. And somehow they managed to get their feet on the ground. It was miraculous. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. It was so, so beautiful that that they were pulled to prayer. Like they must have had some sort of experience to want to come back to that. So it was an awesome experience, and I'm super grateful for you guys for giving us that opportunity. So thank you for all those who supported us. I wanted to talk about the seventh commandment. So we were making our way. I think we've been doing this for months, but I like to go into the meat and potatoes of it, right? Because it's like everything, like our lives really should be using this as a compass. Like, okay, we're in the ship towards eternity, and we get to direct our own ship in a sense, and we want to follow the church, like the main ship. The church is where we ultimately should be heading alongside of towards eternity, and the compass that they give us is the 10 Commandments, right? So we want to know this stuff like all the way to the bottom, right? We want to see not only like the first 10, but the branch of that, right? Like the weight of the entire thing, because at the end of the day, like our salvation depends upon us responding appropriately or not responding appropriately, right? And as the church teaches, which is pretty intense, but this is just teaching in the Catholic Church, that it takes one mortal sin. So what is mortal sin? It's a sin that's committed. It's a grave matter, right? So you hear me in past videos talk about grave matter. It is known, okay, I know this is sinful, and I know it's gravely sinful, and I'm going to do it anyways. The third thing is that it is that I have free will, right? So that I freely will a certain action, and I wasn't like hypnotized or whatever, which is a real thing, or I wasn't like sleepwalking, right? So and also like fear can also diminish our ability to make a choice voluntarily, right? If we make something out of fear or anxiety or whatever, that changes something. That changes our culpability per se. So anyways, So, but just doing that once is enough to separate us from God for all eternity, which people are like, wow, like how can you people say such a thing, that somebody would go to hell for committing one mortal sin? Well, at the end of the day, someone used this analogy one time. I think it's appropriate. But if I was to run to the top of, and I said this before, but if I was to run to the top of the Empire State Building and jump off, how many times would I have to do that in order to die? Just once, right? So with our spiritual life, like if we know what to do, why would we take such a risk? Why would we roll the dice? And so yeah, so it's an interesting reality. Like we're just kind of stuck in this place, and we have to choose carefully. So that's why these videos are so long, and that's why I like to go into it. I haven't even started the seventh commandment, but we're making our way. So the seventh commandment is thou shalt not steal, right? So that's super significant. Now that's obvious, right? Like, okay, I'm not supposed to just go into a store and like take a pack of gum without paying for it. But there's actually kind of a greater, there's another way to look at this, right? So that's kind of the first thing. When is it mortally sinful? So if I was to take $20 from my dad or whatever and just like go into his wallet and take it, that would be venially sinful. Now venial sins are still like, I can tell you more about that later. They're still incredibly pricey, right? Like there was a saint who's St. Catherine of Siena. She was like a great mystic of the church, but she has a book called the Dialogues. And in the Dialogues, God the Father is speaking to her, explaining to her kind of the depths, like more of the depths of the Christian life, the interior life. And he says that one venial sin, even with a lifetime of suffering for the smallest venial sin, wouldn't be able to expiate even one. And so like when we look at sin, that should help us to realize like we shouldn't take it lightly. Like there is no such thing as like a small sin per se, although like St. Paul does separate them in different categories, right? Venial sin and mortal sin. So he does say that there are certain sins that do not cause the death of a soul, but then there are deadly sins which we really have to be careful about. So for example, if I was to steal $20 from my dad, not a problem, right? In a sense, right? I mean, it is a huge problem, but I haven't like killed my soul. If I was to steal $20 from a poor person and that's all that he had for the day to survive off of, that's a huge problem, and that falls into mortal sin. Another example is if I take something that was necessary for somebody else's survival. That's really the determining factor of when stealing is considered gravely sinful, is if this was necessary for this person. And I take it. And actually, I remember hearing that if someone's taking something from you and it's actually necessary, you have the right to kill that person, which is interesting. But at that point, it becomes self-defense. Like, it's my life or this person. But let's say someone was going to take my car and I just blow them out of the water. That wouldn't be an appropriate response, right? Because I don't need that for survival. But let's say that, I'm in a situation where that would potentially, like, that could be my whether I starve, I can't feed my family and stuff. Like, if that's the case, then I've heard that it becomes acceptable. Now again, you have to be super careful with that, but like that's the teaching of the church, that if someone's taking something from you which is necessary for your survival, you have the right to defend yourself. So that is number 10, but it also kind of falls into the category of our spending habits, right? So I am, for one, like, this is kind of probably where I fall into the most problems, right? Because it's not simply like, okay, what am I I'm not like taking stuff from stores, but how am I spending my money? And just like, am I just kind of loose with my cash? Which I would say in my case, yes, because I mean, it's amazing like what we can do with the value of an American dollar. There's a program, Mary's Meals, that if $20 will feed a child for an entire year. So it's just like wow, if you look at it that way, then we should be doing as much of that as we can, $20, because then think about it, like at the end of our lives we will have helped hundreds of people, just like, with a full stomach for a year. That's hard to believe, because we just throw $20 out like it's water essentially. But just to kind of keep it in that perspective, like, and we've been given the platform to like make money, right? So like being an American, we have a way greater opportunity of providing for ourselves than most people. So that also gives us a responsibility towards our brothers and sisters who don't have these things. So, when I'm buying things, I just try and consider that, right? Like, am I in ultra need of this? Like, do I need it? Sometimes, yeah, like, okay, I need a new pair of clothes. I can't just be walking around in rags. But other times it's like everybody and their grandma will tell you that you need to buy this product, and it gets tough to discern because like people are super good at marketing. So it's like, ooh, maybe I do need this. But just to put that in discernment, like, what can I be giving? What should I be giving? And bring that to prayer. Okay, over 10 minutes here, so I got to run. But it was good. Say a prayer for me. I'm going on a trip with my friends this weekend, so if you could pray for me, that'd be awesome. All right, God bless you. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.